My name's Warfel. I am a farmer. This is my 51st crop, and I live here on the farm that my great-grandfather started in 1882. Something usually does jump out at me. I'm kind of trapped in a little glass house, spring and fall. In the spring it's in the tractors, in the fall it's in trucks and a combine. So I spend hours and hours trapped in a little glass cab. And what do? After you get tired of listening to the radio, you cannot watch television, or shouldn't anyway. So I do different things like talk on the telephone, catch up on the news. Occasionally I read a little bit, but it's kind of bouncy to read. But what I can do is write poetry on the windows and then transfer that poetry to a notebook in my PC. I've probably always written since I was in junior high school, but didn't really start doing it for fun until I started farming. And it just gradually grew into poetry more than other things. So for the last 20 years I've written a lot of poetry. It's a response to my environment. I have a very loving family, great wife and kids, and being outside in nature, it's just a response to being here. This is called Rolling, which I wrote in April of 2012. Big tractor wheels, taller than a man, carrying 300 horses, back and forth, tilling the soil, planting the crop. A lazy swirl of dust marks my way, soil seeking heaven, just like me. The way of earth, the way of man. Row after row, seeds of promise nestled into the waiting soil, dark, warm, moist. A trigger is kicked, life clicks, root down, spike up, seeking sun up and food down. Creation is a symphony, all parts singing along. Here it is before us, the song of the prairie. Nature is so complex. You see creativity in the way things are designed, and that there has to be a great designer at some point. A lot of my business of farming is really out of my control. I really can't control the markets, I can't control the weather, certainly can't control the government. So my job is to try to respond to those things as best I can. Having butterflies here, having different songbirds here, helps me know that what I'm doing out in my fields is working with nature and not against nature. And so that's just one of the background things that I think about. It is a spiritual kind of thing, very much so. I'm Christian, and in response to that, we're supposed to take care of our environment. The earth is a gift to mankind, and we're supposed to take care of it. So there's a heritage there from my grandfather, who had a huge impact on me growing up. But about maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I was traveling to Springfield to do some legislative work, traveling with the Parkland president then, Zalima Harris. And somehow the subject of poetry came up, and I mentioned that I wrote poetry. And she said, "Well, you do? I've never seen any." And I said, "Well, that's because I don't share it." And so she really encouraged me to send her a couple of poems that I'd written. And she got back to me and said, "Well, those are really good, and I think you should share. I think other people would enjoy that." So I started sharing via email with a few people, and those people shared with other people. And pretty soon there were a whole bunch of people that were reading my poetry, and I'd get feedback from some of those via email usually, and it just kind of took off. One of the things that I really enjoy doing that inspires me is to take a break and sit where I can see my fields and reflect a little bit about my great-grandfather being out there with his team of horses. Usually I just write something off the cuff, but sometimes I chew on a particular topic for a while and meditate on it and do a few notes on it, and then eventually sit down and write the poetry. I just do it for people's enjoyment. so I don't want to be paid for it. And if they can remember that there was a farmer who really enjoyed his job and felt really blessed to be able to be a farmer and be in America, to have the really uncountable memories that we have as a result of living here in America, it's really something.